What's up, everybody, and welcome back. It is Friday before I'm going to be traveling next week. Busy week in the tech world. Holy shnikes. Apple had their big event. Microsoft's doing some stuff. Google's killing things. And if you're new to the channel, as always, this is just kind of a weekly recap of a lot of things Microsoft and a little bit of everybody else. And as always, I appreciate you guys tuning in. And we'll just dive right in here, shall we? So Microsoft, during Apple's keynote this week, decided, hey, we're going to push out a new build because we're going to try to generate some whatever noise during Apple's big shindig. Anyway, so what they did announce is that there's a new acrylic login screen for Windows 10, which you can see here. Nothing... It's whatever. If you like the Windows Spotlight backgrounds, I guess you're kind of out of luck, but it's just going to make things a little bit blurry. That's not your eyeballs. It's actually Windows 10. And so that is, it's whatever. Some people, I'm sure, are going to love that. It doesn't make a difference. It does not change the functionality of Windows 10 in any capacity. But here we are. So, other things happening this week before we dive into what Apple did and frankly didn't do is Google is killing Inbox. So this is actually, this kind of sucks because I went from using Newton, which was the best email app and service on the planet, to I was playing around with Google Inbox for a little bit. Well, now Google's going to kill that sometime early next year. I think in March or something like that. And yeah, so if you were liking that email client, we're sorry. You now have one less good option available to you. So there's that. Anyways, so Apple had a big event, and I didn't even bring it down. I'm still using an iPhone 7, and I held off from buying an iPhone X because it was like, well, it's not a big upgrade or whatever. From going from a 7 to an X, you're just getting a larger screen, blah, they got rid of the fingerprint reader, nothing, whatever. And late last night, I was sitting there thinking, like, maybe I can just keep this thing. It runs fine. I'm sure that I will end up getting one of the new X variants here in a little bit. I just haven't pre-ordered anything. I don't know. The XR, Apple, I think, goofed some of this stuff up, their pricing, because the XR, it's good. Like, it's almost too good. And it's going to eat away a lot of the iPhone XS. Jesus, terrible naming. Aside, I think it's going to eat in a lot of the sales, because if you don't care about OLED, and I'm telling you, you probably don't care about OLED. People are going to be like, yes, I do, Brad. I care about those deeper blacks. No, yeah, but do you care $300 more? I mean, you should not buy the high-end phone, in my opinion, only to get the OLED screen, because I don't think it's worth it. I really don't. You're never going to see the Super Retina or Liquid Retina, whatever the heck they're calling it, next to an OLED phone, except for in the Apple Store. And aside from that, does it really make a difference? I don't personally think it does. And so I keep trying to talk myself out of buying the XS, and I'm sure that's what I'll end up getting, but we will see. I haven't pre-ordered anything. I actually looked at Verizon today, and this isn't all that surprising, I don't think, is that their shipping dates are still for next Friday. Now, granted, I'm not going to be in town next Friday, so it doesn't do me a lot of good to pre-order one anyways, because I'm going to be traveling with the family. But yeah, typically those things get pushed back real quick because of pre-orders. Lots of people pre-order, they run out of stock, you gotta wait longer. And I'm sure the date will slip eventually, but it kind of makes sense though in some capacity, because it's not like it's a new form factor. All they're really doing is just ripping out the guts of the old one, just sliding new guts in, and there you go. I mean, the frame is basically the same thing, just a slightly different color. And it's not like they have to redesign the metal chassis or anything like that. So, there you go. Read into it what you will. I still think Apple will sell a lot, but I think they're going to sell a lot more of the XR, because that is the successor, in my opinion, to the iPhone 8. It's not the XS. That's obviously the successor to the X. But then Apple's also keeping around the iPhone 7, and you can also still buy the iPhone 8. And I think Steve Jobs would be really annoyed at how convoluted their iPhone lineup is right now, but there's reasons for it, and they're going to sell millions, and they're going to make a whole bunch of money, and I don't think anybody's ever going to dispute that. But as about 17,000 people told me on Twitter, hey, did you see that the iPhone Max the X Max, tops out at $1,500. Yeah, I mean, that's Apple, right? They have no problem pushing things to extreme pricing, and there you go. So you can spend $1,500 on a smartphone if you think you need 512 gigabytes of storage on your mobile device, which I don't know why you would. My iPhone 7, which I looked at before I came down here, is about 95, 96 gigs full. And so a lot of that's just videos of my kid and now my dog and random vacation stuff, which is all backed up to various services, so I could delete a bunch of that. If you have 400 gigs on your phone right now, I'd love to know what you keep on there. I guess if you download a whole bunch of movies, but even then, you can stream a lot of stuff or just load it up and then get on a plane, watch it, and delete it. I don't know. I don't quite know why you would need 512 gigs. I'm sure there are people, and I'm sure they will absolutely let me know when that happens. The bigger thing I think Apple announced is actually that their Apple Watch is now certified by the FDA, which that is a big deal. I think Apple Watch is going to sell like crazy for them. Maybe not direct to consumer, although I will probably end up buying one as well. I'm still rocking the first gen because there's no need to jump every gen with the watch stuff. The fall detection is going to be huge for places like nursing homes. It's not hard to imagine that they can strap one of those on to every single person in there, and if they fall, then the nurse's desk gets an alert. Or you could do it with, if you have older parents, you could buy one for them and they could wear it, and if it falls, you can get a notification. It's really easy to see how that is going to be a monumental device for them and sell, and probably the highest capacity, I was trying to think of bulk terms, for that watch. I think that's a good move, and it's hard to say that Fitbit absolutely competes with Apple, but Fitbit kind of competes in a lower end segment. They're not trying to compete directly. I guess they have the Ionic and some other things, but in my opinion, I think Apple is the dominant player in that market. The Android variants have yet to really kind of catch up into that volume. And so I'm not trying to just jump on the Apple Watch bandwagon because I like it. I genuinely think that Apple is winning. I mean, you can ECG with that thing. Granted, if you really think you need one of those, go to the doctor. Don't depend on a stupid watch to tell you that you have heart arrhythmia or anything like that. It might give you some basic functionality and insights, but more than likely, I don't think you're a cardiologist. And man, if WebMD is bad, imagine just your watch telling you that you're having a heart attack and then it being wrong. So just keep in mind, go to a medical professional. Your watch is not going to replace that. Anyways, moving on here. So Redstone 5 is nearly done. I'm hearing that September 21st is going to be the Dunzo day. Like, that's when they're going to sign off on everything. So keep in mind that's about a week from Friday, which means we're going to keep seeing these rapid builds coming out until they find one that they like. They really screwed one up this week where they pushed it out and it was still encrypted and just really dinging on people's RAMs and then on the RAM and then the CPU. And so keep in mind for September 21st. I'm also hearing from somebody who's become quite reliable lately is that there might be a reorg inside of the Windows world after Redstone 5 ships. That's kind of the thing here. And this might be actually how Terry Myerson eventually exits, is after that's done, and then his role is just kind of diminished. And so that would not surprise me if that happened. Just people moving about to more things, just different product lines like Azure and Office, and kind of maybe thinning out the Windows card. I don't think there's going to be layoffs. I'm not trying to say that, but I think that they're just going to be shuffling some people around. And so there's that. Also this week, Microsoft stopped selling the Core M3 Surface laptop. If you missed it, I posted it up on Petri, my kind of expectations for the upcoming October event. But if you've been listening to this podcast, you've known about this since July or early August, I think is when I officially started talking about it. And it's just going to be a chip refresh, probably USB Type-C on the laptop and Pro. Still haven't heard anything about the Studio yet. But yeah, if you're looking for a Surface laptop or a Surface Pro, you need to wait about 2 more weeks, give or take. October 2nd, that's when that stuff's going to be announced. So just keep that in mind. Microsoft To Do also got a redesigned web app. I've become a big fan of To Do. It's done very well for me. There's certain things that I don't like about it that Todoist did better, but the rate at which Microsoft is updating it is it's great. I think it's it's getting a resurgence in life, and good job Microsoft on that. Other kind of interesting things from around the web is Chromebooks will soon have negative networking connectivity support for Windows PCs, which is kind of interesting, which means that you can integrate a Chromebook better into your network to obviously natively connect to your Windows PC. It's pretty self-explanatory, but I think that's a pretty monumental move for helping things in the enterprise and small businesses, or even schools for that matter, being able to interconnect Windows PCs and Chromebooks and share content across those two platforms is only going to help the Windows 10, the Chromebook adoption rate. And so it's just a small thing, but it plays into a larger picture. Just a couple questions this week because I pushed it up way too late. But Mr. PKI says, if Windows is now organized and focused on Azure Cloud, interesting, who or what leader is focused on the Xbox OS platform changes and needs, which is currently based on its own revision of Windows 10? So this is almost what I want to call a one-core tragedy, is that Microsoft spent so much time making the Xbox OS part of one core, and one core is just completely fizzled out because the phone's completely fizzled out. And so who is, I mean, it's got to fall under Phil Spencer somewhere, which I'm a big fan of his. I think he's doing a wonderful job for the Xbox. But that is a very, very good question about who's focusing solely on this Xbox platform. I suspect we will learn more here after this kind of update. And the last question real quick here comes from 66 Mustang. He says, now that Newton is toast, rest in peace, have you decided on a new email app? Last week on Windows Weekly, Mary Jo mentioned that she uses 9mail. What say you? So on my mobile, on my iPhone, I use Outlook. I have no problem with Outlook on the mobile device, on iOS. I think it's great. I think it's very well done. I have no problem with it. The reason why I switched to Newton, my biggest concern or issue is using, so if you're on your phone and you read an email or you swipe it away or do whatever with it, that action takes place. When you go to your desktop, half the time in my Mail app, my Windows 10 Mail app, it's not recognized that I have made a change on another device, so I have to mark emails as read again or all that stuff. And that's where Newton did very well because it uses a third-party service to monitor all those things, and it worked very, very well. And so what I'm looking for is a complete solution from the iOS to desktop, and the Mail app on Windows 10 is just not great. I wish that they would just take either the Outlook web app and just make that the Mail app, or just port the iOS app to Windows 10 and just use that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why Microsoft is taking so long on this stuff. If anybody has any insight into that, I would absolutely love to know that. And so, like I said, I'm going to be traveling next week. Might be able to do the podcast, but I'm actually traveling Friday morning. So Ignite takes place basically a week from Monday. I'm going down a few days early with the family because it's in Orlando. I think we're going to try to hit Disney World for a couple days. And then they will fly home, and I will stay down for Ignite. I think that's our plan, at least as of right now. And so, yes, that wraps it up for this week. Just a quick recap. And if you have any questions, you can always find the question thread on Threat.com every Thursday afternoon, give or take. And have yourselves a wonderful Friday, and we'll catch you right back here next time.